Hello and welcome back to Aetheral 7.3 Out in the Cold. We are back.
Yep, last time on Aetheral Space, Mr. Fix was like, I need you guys to guard me so I can...
One less job. Well, not he. SLP
job.
been guarding someone else, not necessarily guarding him.
That's what I kept asking you. I was like, are they... When he
you.
said stand with him, did he mean as a fellow guard or as a worker? And he's he's not part of the family. And I was like, so as a guard. And then, and then you were like, but he's high up. And then I was like, what the fuck? So which is it, Jim Jam?
Oh, I
So was Mr. Fix also a guard?
Well, he's acting in as a guard in this capacity. That's not like his official role.
Okay. Got you. But yeah, that happened, and then Serena was like, I sense danger, and Bruno was like, must have been the wind. And I'm going to assume that was because after that they revealed Kat was here. Cotty! And he was like, it's me, Kat! I'm Joe!
You can't do that.
What's up, Sarah?
That's already North's voice. You can't do it for Kat as well.
For both the fuckers who used to be the body?
I'll allow you to do a So voice if you can manage that, but please not Joe, not again.
No, we can't do So because So is Winston. It's gotta be someone else.
Fuck.
Maybe
anything but Joe. No.
I'm sorry, Wolf. I didn't mean to, Bruno. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's somehow worse.
Alright, we have to come up with the Kat voice before I start, because this is going to be an important character.
He's a little bit smug, but he's also, like, calm.
I never expected I'd see you guys here.
That's it.
Just a couple of jokers. Alright, hopefully I can remember that. 1 year earlier. She'd gotten used to the rumbling of the train long ago. Keiko Oliphant Hidaka was pulled out of her sleep by the feeling of her little sister tugging on her arm. If that was all, she could have returned to slumberland quite easily, but no. Keiko, came Sora's plaintive voice, keeping her from falling back asleep. Wake up! Wake up! I'm bored! Keiko! Keiko shook her head with as much effort as she could muster, savoring the soft feeling of the seat behind her. Give me a minute, she mumbled, the words drifting into each other to such a degree that the sentence was nigh incomprehensible. She was sure she must have been having a nice dream, so she just dipped back into it for a little while. Needless to say, Sora Oliphant Hidaka did not give her sister another minute. The second shove was much tougher, pulling Keiko firmly out of her dreams with the force of a pile driver. She yawned, rubbing her eyes as she turned to look at her little sister sitting next to her. The two of them were the only ones in the sleek luxury carriage. The train belonged to Father, and the only ones aboard, apart from the siblings, were security who knew how to make themselves subtle. Through the outside window, just past Sora's pout, Keiko could see the winter wonderland of Alpes. Endless snowy mountains, as far as the eye could see, with metal settlements like beehives protruding from the side. A storm of redbirds brewed on the horizon. This was their migration season as well. That's a pretty clever name for a bird, redbird, because it's a red bird.
Yeah. Well, they have a name, but she doesn't know what the name is.
What's up? Keiko sighed, cracking the joints of her neck. It was a... Hang on, now I gotta crack my neck. It was a 6-hour trip to the winter villa, and she'd been hoping to just sleep through the trip. Sorry, I'm a bit of an empath. Her sister, it seemed, didn't share that aspiration. I'm bored, Sora repeated, scowling. This is taking forever. Sora was always like this, craving stimulation, never being satisfied with anything for long. She'd been rambling excitedly about the train before they'd got on, but it seemed she'd already gotten bored of it. Her stubby pigtails, the unfortunate casualties of a recent haircut, stuck up in the air as she crossed her arms in frustration. Keiko managed to pick a frustrating crumb of sleep out from her eyelid. Well, she sighed, the slightest irritation in her tone, what do you want me to do about it? I'm just as bored as you are, Sora. More sleepy than bored, but whatever. Sora glanced up hopefully. Do you have games on your script? You got games on your phone, Keiko? Keiko blinked, considering refusing for a second. It wasn't like she had things on her script she didn't want others to see, but still. Then the idea of sitting on this train while Sora loudly complained came to mind, and the decision was made. Sora snatched the script out of Keiko's hands the instant it came into reach, logging on with hands that moved like she was playing a piano. It was a little concerning that she knew Keiko's password, but to be perfectly honest, she didn't have the energy to care right now. You play on that, Keiko mumbled, already closing her eyes again, her own shoulder a makeshift pillow. Don't wake me up again, okay? Okay, Sora lied, the bleep-bloop of the script almost drowning her out. Even with the new noise, tiredness won out, and sleep pulled Keiko down into its embrace once again. The only thing better than going to sleep, Keiko found, was going back to sleep, and so she remained in that empty abyss. Until the bomb went off, that is. What a fucking opening. Until the bomb went off. But then Sonic had blood eyes. Present day. You shouldn't be moving around on your own, Keiko snapped, glaring at Cottian. What if someone had followed you back here? You could have blown this whole thing! Cot smiled, and that simple expression in itself was laced with dismissive arrogance. Don't worry, Missy, he said, allowing himself to fall back into a waiting armchair. I never move alone, and there isn't a person in the world capable of following me without me wanting them to. Keiko exchanged a glance with her Aunt Carla, receiving the slightest nod of acceptance in return. Carla had much more experience with these types of people. She'd trust her instincts in this arena. Assuming you're not just here to hang out, Carla spoke up, scratching her ear with a finger. You got anything to report? Cot slouched in his chair, crossing his legs. All the pieces are in play, he grinned. Roy Elephant Dawkins arrived on the station an hour or so ago. The last guy on the guest list. Ruthlessness, curiosity, and caution confirm the other senior members haven't moved from their home bases either. Everything's set for the family meeting. Uncle Roy. Keiko had considered enlisting him in this endeavor, only to decide against it later. There was no way that man would be able to keep a secret. He had a good heart, and he was strong, but he had no regard for subtlety. Nobody's moved, huh? Carla narrowed her eyes. Has anyone made a move, though? I don't expect our enemy to just sit still. If Alpus proved anything, it's that they're willing to toss caution aside if it's advantageous. Alpus. At the very mention of the word, Keiko felt a shiver ripple out across her skin, pulling her arms tight in an instinctive, infuriating reaction. After the bombing on Alpus, the Oliphant clan's primary concern had been the simultaneous attacks on her father's businesses, but Keiko had only one objective in mind. The list of people who could have given access to plant that bomb, who could have killed her sister, was very small, and every single one of them had the same surname as her. She'd flush them out whatever it took, which was why she found herself in the same room as scum, like Cotty and Dell said. Everyone's sitting tight, Cott reiterated, waving a vague hand. If the person you two are looking for is really here, then they're sitting tight as a mouse. The best way to move unseen was to not exist as a possibility inside anyone's head. Nobody knew that Keiko was on the cradle, so nobody would suspect her moving behind the scenes. It was the same with Cott. He was an expert at becoming a ghost. Cott's hazel eyes flicked from Carla to Keiko as he got no response.
That's my mistake.
There's nothing else. If there's nothing else, I need to check in with the rest of my employees. Carla chuckled, putting a knuckle to her mouth. Funny way of referring to them, don't you think? Everyone's a little bit strange. Don't hold it against me. And with that, Cott rose from the chair and strode back out of the room, offering Keiko an insincere smile as he passed. I'm going to guess, based on the weird capitalized word names earlier, and that his employees are part of his Aether ability or something. The echoing clicks of his footsteps faded as he descended the stairs outside. She only just managed to keep the fury off her face. Had that same smug smile been on his face back then? Wait, what?
What could she mean by this?
Is she saying that Cott's the one that did it? Okay, I'm just gonna go with that. Careful, Carla muttered, a certain darkness in her eyes. Don't give him anything to worry about. We still need him until the very end. It was no coincidence that they'd hired Cotty and Del Ced to assist them with this investigation. The bomber had done a good job of wiping themselves from recordings of the train's maintenance bay, but one loose frame from one video had shown their face clearly. Cott wasn't as good as he thought. They'd make use of him until he led them to the one who'd hired him, and then Keiko would kill them both herself. Popcorn.
Hey, Dragan, Ruth said, cross-legged on Bruno's bed, leafing through an analogue book. What do you think of this? Revolutionaire. Dragan looked up from the videograph on the wall, raising an eyebrow. What do you mean? What do you think about it? She prodded again, insistently, frowning. Distressingly, conversations like this had started to become routine for Dragan Hadrian. What do I think about it? It's a word, I don't know. It's fine, I guess? Why? You think it sounds good? As what? It depends on what it's being used for. If it was like a soft drink or something, I'd say no. If it was, a cool sword or something, I'd probably say yes. Why? Ruth shrugged to herself, returning to her book, silently mouthing the words as she went along.
Is that her fucking hero alias now? Revolutionaire!
Gerard had known already that she wasn't the strongest reader, so it's surprising to see her so absorbed in something made of paper.
That's kind of fucked up. I thought you were stupid, so I didn't expect you to read a book. That's something a fucking only an SCP author could have the smugness to write as a line.
But he already knew that she can't read good.
Yeah, Dragon would absolutely be an SCP author.
As he turned back to the videograph, eager to resume watching his documentary, the universe decided to make it clear that Dragon could never be happy. Skipper opened the door.
I love the way you, interlace the little humor in the lines between. You're getting better at it.
Hey, hey, he grinned, raising a plastic bag in his prosthetic hand. Look who's got snacks! The book Ruth had been so interested in was unceremoniously tossed over her shoulder as she climbed off the bed. Snacks? She said, interest. You got cheeseburgers?
It's back, baby! Let's go! That's the 1.1 callback, in case you don't remember.
Cheeseburgers ain't snacks. Skipper shook his head. Once the number of ingredients goes above 3, that's a meal, yeah?
That's actually a really good, fucking line of thought.
Ruth frowned, her interest dying down. Buns, cheese, burger. That's 3 exactly. Skipper smirked as he achieved victory in this battle of wits. Sesame seeds make 4. Checkmate. That's bullshit! Dragon finally accepted he won't be learning any more about the history of Paradiso simulations today. The videograph was turned off with the click of the remote. You're a little cheery for the situation we're in. In a couple of hours, we'll be right in the middle of a nest of vipers. What the fuck is a beat of vipers?
A beat of vipers. A beater of vipers. Beta testers and cheaters. They're all beaters.
Skipper put the bag down and patted Dragon heavily on the shoulder. Oh, that's nothing. You should know this about me by now, Mr. Hadrian. I'm a glass-half-full kind of guy. He couldn't hide from Dragon's eyes. He could tell clearly the real motivation behind his behaviour. Skipper wanted Dragon to be more comfortable in this awkward situation.
Yeah, that seems obvious. Dragon would be like, I'm something of an empath.
He hadn't exactly hidden his anger at being put through all this, but the idea that he could be seen through so easily still irritated him to an unimaginable extent. Still, it wasn't bad to know that people cared. Not that he'd ever say that, though. Doesn't matter how full the glass of it is broken, Dragon snarked. Shouldn't we at least put together a game plan in case everything goes wrong? Where's Bruno, anyway? Despite earlier protests, Ruth already had the end of a carrot stick protruding from her mouth as she slowly nibbled it down to oblivion. He said he was going to check out the venue. No. Make sure it was secure or something. He'll be back in a little
what's
while.
up, Doc?
Rabbit
Dragon?
Rabbit.
Ruth Rabbit? Oh my god, like Roger Rabbit?
Dragon frowned. You just let him go? Isn't that a little risky? It's what he's good at, Skipper waved a hand. Serena too. Believe me, this ain't their first rodeo. How's that? And what's a rodeo? Some kind of food, I'm pretty sure. Skipper said, the waving of his hand intensifying. Anyway, those two have been doing this clandestine stuff since their days with the UAP. Skipper's exposition was quickly interrupted by Ruth's awkward clearing of her throat. The sound was innocent enough, but the firm look in her eyes was much less so. The message for the older man was clear. Shut it. Serena wouldn't like it, she said simply. And with that, Skipper seemed to remember himself and zipped his mouth shut. Sorry, my guy, he shrugged, glancing back to Dragon. You want any more, you'd be best asking them yourself. Dragon nodded. He couldn't deny he had at least a little interest in this topic, even more so since it was apparently confidential, but there was no way he'd be hearing more anytime soon. By the time Bruno got back, it would probably be time to head for the meeting and repay his debt. The very notion made his blood boil. How in the hell had he been taught him to do and fix his dirty work? Even if nothing happened, the fact that he was following the asshole's orders was enough to make him blow a gasket. This was no ordinary meeting. It would be a gathering of eighth users, no doubt, anomalies of the highest order. What kind of freaks would be forced to deal with? Popcorn.
Oh fuck, that's not half. You said you'd do half.
You did a third.
What the hell?
Third.
No, my throat.
Hit him again.
Roy Oliphant Dawkins punched the grizzly bear in the face. If one had to describe the massive man that was brawling with the beast, the word they'd use would be barbarian. His brown hair was long and unkempt, like a bush, and his green eyes and white teeth were wide with the frenzy of combat. As he pursued his enemy further, his stance like that of a boxer, he walked with a slight hunch, like an animal keeping low to the ground, beast-breathing style. Even as he wore a modern white vest and a pair of blue jeans, the aura he gave off made one think of a wild, untamed thing. 1, 2. 2 massive fists struck the bear, one in the face and one in the stomach, knocking it back into the glass wall of the enclosure. It roared with anger and pain, getting ready to lunge back at the human that was causing it such irritation. Nice, nice, Roy muttered, hopping in place, his fists held up in front of him. You've got what it takes, boy. I like it. Show me what you've got! The only people present to observe Roy's obvious passion, from safely outside the glass, of course, were a small but growing crowd of Roy's employees. Mercenaries, bodyguards, and even a few logistical staff had gathered to watch their boss's latest bout. Before this, it had been a paleo beast. Before that, a rhinoceros. Apparently this bear had mauled 2 of its keepers back when it was in a zoo. After hearing that, Roy decided he absolutely had to take it on and teach it a lesson. The bear dragged its claws up Roy's arm, the only response being a shower of sparks as the spikes failed to penetrate his iron muscles. Then another 1-2 sent it sprawling back on its back. I would just put sprawling onto its back. "What makes you hate humans so much, huh?" Roy growled, panting with righteous indignation as he regained his footing. "People just want to live their lives, feed their families, and dance crazy! I won't let you sneer at them, scumbag! Get to your feet, you bastard!" I'm having way too much fun with this character.
I had a lot of fun writing him as well.
Some of Roy's aides had tried to explain to him that animals like these didn't understand human morality, but the big man refused to accept it. To him, there was no difference between a rabid beast and a human villain. Both deserved his fists, and both deserved to be admonished as they were pummeled. Roy brushed away the stray drops of blood on his body, none his own, as the bear picked itself back up. I have to ask, when it said iron muscles, is this like a body literally made of iron, or is it just like he's rock
that
iron?
strong?
Okay. You ever read Dynaman, you son of a bitch? Roy flexed, his muscles squeaking like leather. Issue number 255, Dynaman versus the Blue Bite. It's an epic fight, one of the best. The Blue Bite tries to say there's no point in being a good person like Dynaman since... The bear cut Roy off by lunging at him, this time firmly securing his hand inside its mouth. There was no way it could damage him, no matter how hard it pressed down, but Roy looked down at the beast astonished all the same. "Wait," he muttered to himself. "You dislike Dynaman comics? More than that, you understood my words, my human tongue, the situation. I see now. I misunderstood what was going on entirely." With a grunt of effort, Roy pulled his fist free, both arms rearing back as though he were about to crush the bear's skull between his clapping hands. More than once had grisly gore painted these glass windows. As one, the crowd winced. They had no reason to. Roy Oliphant Dawkins embraced the bear, burying his face deep in its fur as manly tears flowed down his face, like rain spilling off the glory of a mountain. "I understand," he whispered, lost in a revelation unique to himself. "You used to be human, didn't you? That's why you're so angry. I've got you. I've got you, friend. There's nothing more manly than forgiveness." And with that, he released the bear from his hold, and it collapsed backwards, unconsciousness finally claiming it after the battle it had endured. "Patch him up," Roy barked to the medical staff, already making their way into the enclosure. "Make sure he's comfy and happy. We've come to an understanding, me and him. His name's Bear Boy now." His subordinates had long ago given up on questioning Roy's eccentricity. Is it eccentricity? Eccentricity. They faithfully carried Bear Boy out on a sturdy stretcher, leaving their boss to sit on the floor and catch his breath. Apart from Roy...
say, maybe Roy's voice should just be a little bit deeper.
It's hard to get deeper. My throat hurts and you're making me read.
I'm sorry. But, like, he's definitely shown in protag energy, but he's, like, a little bit grown up.
Apart from Roy, only one other person remained in the enclosure. A short, sweaty man in a suit and tie. Who's talking? The guy
short,
or
sweaty
Roy?
Man.
"You satisfied now?" he wheezed, dabbing at his forehead with a handkerchief. "Hell of a show you put on there. A man's gotta do what a man's gotta do." Roy grunted. Click, click. He cracked the joints of his neck. A man's gotta fight bears in the basement instead of actually getting ready for tonight. Click, click. Next, he cracked his knuckles. Cracked his knuckles. "You're a brave man to talk to me like that."
Homsex on her last name.
That's not a real name. Go ahead, put the real name on now.
No, that's his name.
No, it's not. Alright, what ethnicity is that, Tan? What? Tell me, where Bulba's from. Huh, is that so? "You're a brave man to talk to me like that, Bulbo." "If I didn't," Bulba wiped at his neck, "nothing would ever get done around here." Roy considered his aide's words for a moment, his heavy finger tapping against the floor of the enclosure. Tentatively, he opened his mouth. "There's a cheeseburger? Cheese-tiger?"
Cheetah.
Okay. Sorry. "There's a cheetah tiger I had shipped in a little while ago. They're meant to be fast. If I could just Bulba's glare intensified. "You can race the bastard after your meeting. At least try to get a suit and tie on, you big idiot." Roy sighed, picking himself up off the ground with such might that it creaked below him. His bare feet thumped against the ground as he walked towards the exit. Before he properly left, however, he turned back to Bulbo and spoke in a voice like thunder. "Oh yeah, I'll go get ready, and I'm gonna make sure it's a meeting they'll never forget!" He stomped down on the floor, cracking it, and jabbed his thumb at his own grinning face. A moment passed. "Okay, go do it then." Wow, this guy. He is the heart of a lion, the pride of a lion. That should have been actually the title of this instead of Out in the Cold. You should change it.
I couldn't spoil it. He had to appear out of blue.
Bulbo is not. You have to change that name.
No, his name's Bulbo.
That's such
Why
a
is
stupid
that
fucking
the
name.
line? Why is Bulbo the line? You can't.
It's
we've
so
gone too
bad.
Far. It's a funny name.
Bulbo's like a fucking clown name.
He used to be a clown.
It's like you read Lord of the Rings and were like, I'm gonna put my OC in here, Bulbo, instead of
His name
Bilbo.
is Bulbo. I'm gonna the more you make fun of it, the less I want to change it.
You're never gonna change it though, so it doesn't matter how much you make fun of it.
Bulbo.
Bulbo. Bulbo's like, wasn't that the name of the kid from Jimmy Neutron, like the weird foreign kid?
I don't know, maybe.
Hold on, let me look that up. Did you ever watch Jimmy Neutron?
I caught episodes of it.
Oh, he was Bulby, not Bulbo. Bulby Stroganoffsky. I'll have to find a Bulby clip to link you. I would even accept Bulby over Bulbo. Bulbo just sounds like too fake.
Bulbo, it's his space name.
Alright, well, thank you guys
don't look
for
down,
watching.
Don't sneer at him, you bastard. I'll
I'm
teach you a
sneering
lesson.
at Bulbo. Yeah, I'm sure he will. Alright, bye guys!
Bye!